Hi there, my name is Meredith White and I teach Spanish 1 and 2 just outside of Atlanta, Georgia in Gwinnett County. I have, over the last, I'd say 3 years, last year doesn't really count, right? I mean, it does, but also, over the last 3 years, two school years out of the last 3, I have really worked to make things easier for myself logistically, day to day. I know we kind of always work to do that, but I try really hard to do things as efficiently as possible and with the things that are in my control. So one of those things is making copies. Making copies is the bane of my existence, and I don't know why. Like, it's not hard. It's not whatever. It's like not a hassle. It's just like a normal task. I am super lucky. We are really supported at my school, and we don't have a copy limit or a copy count. My department chair is fantastic and orders lots of colored paper for us so that we can color code things accordingly. Like, we just want for so little, and I'm really, really lucky where I am. For some reason still, making copies is so annoying because inevitably it's broken, right? And if it's not broken, there's like 13 people in front of you. And so in your mind, or in my mind, it would just be like, oh, it's just a little 1-pager. Like, let me grab my original and walk down to the copier. It's just, I only need like 30 of them. But it doesn't matter because inevitably you get stuck behind somebody who's making, something 18 pages, 2-sided, stapled, collated, hole punched, like, covered in holy water. Like, there's going to be some kind of whatever to where your little, like, 1-sided, 30 little game sheets or whatever is going to suddenly be a hassle. So about 3 school years ago, I was like, I'm done. Enough. And what I did, my only goal that year in terms of organization for myself was to get all of my materials together for each unit, for each class that I teach. So I teach levels 1 and 2, and we do 6 units for each of those levels. So that meant that I was going to get together units 1 through 6 for level 1, and then units 1 through 6 for level 2. And I wanted to have one long running file for each of those with all of the handouts. My goal was, or kind of what, like Brene Brown says, like when she says, what is, paint done for me, paint finished for me. What does that look like? Paint the picture. The picture of having achieved that goal for me was being able to get into my computer, open a file called Unit 1 copies, in whichever level, click print, and have everything there, speaking of printer, have everything there to copy ready. That was the goal. That was what finished, done, accomplished looked like. So that was my only goal for the whole year. And I did it. So what I was expecting was it would just get me at the copy machine less because I thought that would be pretty awesome, and it is. But what I did not anticipate and could not have anticipated was some of the other things that it also made much easier. One example is today the copier is broken. I said it's like normally broken, right? Which is maybe kind of unfair, but today is one of those days. So today our copier actually, both of our humongous copiers are actually down. And the one that's closest to my classroom is out of toner. So nobody is copying anything. So if there are any like Tuesday, post-Labor Day emergency copies, it's not happening. And I had mentioned those people before in line, who's doing like a 2-sided 18-page, and it's nothing against, you got to do what you got to do, right? And they got there earlier, so good for them. But to avoid all of that, I wanted to be that person, but get a whole unit done. Like I said, just have Unit 1, Unit 2, click. If you're a person who has, I don't have an example, but my friend Laura has, and I've always coveted, or for a long time coveted, her binders. She has these beautiful, this is not it, this is my emergency sub binder, but like this kind of binder. My emergency sub binders had better days, but listen, and I've only used it ever like 3 times, but for some reason it's fallen apart. But she has this kind of binder with all of her unit materials and plans, and that's super cool too. So for a long time I coveted that. This is basically that, where she literally goes, okay, let me go ahead and get ready for Unit 2. She pulls everything out of, page protectors and goes from there. This is sort of the electronic version of that. So my students have individual folders that they keep in the classroom. So this is one. And what this ends up looking like is, I'm going to come into the students folder. I literally just grabbed it off of her group. Is students are then handed all of their unit materials in one fell swoop. So the first time I ever did this was the goal. I wanted to be like, here you go. And I've also been guilty of making packet like a mean word, because we all know. I mean, I really super judged a sitting teacher until last year when we were forced to sit all day every day. And I've always been a little judgy, very judgy, of a packet teacher. Because if this is the only thing, if it's a sit down, be quiet, do your work type of situation, I find that undermines the integrity of every aspect of school and of what I think a teacher-student experience and relationship should be. That's a separate video though. So it's not like a packet per se, but it is like all attached, right? So the expectation isn't, I'm not saying I like copy all of the things and then go, here you go, here's the whole unit, learn on your own, I'll be over here. Absolutely not. But what I did want them to have is a lot of the same template resources, like kind of a running vocabulary list. I mean, it's obviously a Quizlet list, so it morphs, it changes, we add, we subtract. And then I also wanted them to have some of the things that we use really, really often. So like our, Thomas Sowers like vocabulary language guide is a great sheet. Our interpersonal roster that you can use for interpersonal either on the lab or just face-to-face. And some of our can-do statements from the unit, and these are our can-do task sheets. So I'm going to put links in the comments or links in the video information to those files. But also like Anne-Marie Chase, incredible teacher, her interpretive listening rubrics are fantastic, and interpretive reading rubrics. So I wanted my students to have some of the same things in every unit. So the first time I did it, it was like probably 3 hours the first time, and then it never took that long again, not even close. First time I just sat down on my Google Drive and I opened up my unit folder, Level 1, Unit 1, right? Spanish 1, Unit 1, because that was the one that I would need the soonest. And if I liked it in Google Drive, I saved the document and then just drug it to my desktop. And my desktop is like empty. I keep my desktop super clean because that stresses me out. So I just drug it to my desktop. And if I liked it and it was a Word doc, I saved it as a PDF. If it was a Google Doc, I also saved it as a PDF. So I wanted to get everything in PDF form. If you have a Mac, this is easier because you can merge PDFs together. Just go on YouTube and look at, what's the easiest way? Probably like merge PDFs. And I use Preview because it's really easy. You could just drag the thumbnail of the PDF and now you've combined them all. If you're on a PC, honestly, the easiest way is just to have a folder, print out each document separately, and then there's your original copies. I don't know how to merge it within Adobe Reader because I don't use Adobe Reader very much. But if you want to do a PDF, you might have to do a little investigative work there, depending on the device you have. But literally just sat down on my Google Drive, opened up all of the files, and then figured out if I wanted them to write on it. If it was something they were just going to see that I was going to use like on a slide and project, they don't need a copy of that. But if it's something that I want them to, write on and interview each other, or write on and then have like some grammar, like some pop-up grammar notes afterwards, they need to do a little back and forth and then, produce something, whatever, then they need to write on that, and they need to write on it full size. So it was also deciding what I wanted to be a full sheet and what I wanted to be a half sheet, if anything. Honestly, the half sheet thing, it's a little bit too inconvenient to be worth it for me. So I saved all those files manually in one place, like either in a folder or on the desktop. I just did desktop. And then from there, printed them out from my desktop and also merged them into one long PDF. And when I tell you that was a game changer, I did that the first year I did it in like the couple of days leading up to pre-planning. So we start pre-planning like at the end of July. So this would have been like July, 25th or 26th. I just sat down, cup of coffee, just kind of working on my own, TV going, whatever, and did it. That meant that I could go into pre-planning then and go ahead and put in all my copies for the entire unit. And I didn't have to have my lesson plans per se, but I had something. Like I had the trusty resources that I know I love to use and that I know were going to help my students. Now this is stapled together, so I do number them. I number them like 1, 2, 3. You can see it'll go 5. It'll go by odds. And then the last one is 36. So let's say I change my mind. This is like a cute like color personality trait kind of quiz. So let's say the last one is 36 and I find something tomorrow that I think is incredible and I want to add it and I'm like, oh shoot, I didn't get it together to staple in time or whatever. I just copy it individually and number it 37. Honestly. And let's say I find 2 more things. Well, then there's 37 and 38. And if I can get them 2-sided, great, go for it. I don't think students mind the stapled versus the loose. I'm not even sure many notice it. And if they notice it enough, they'll literally be like, do you have one of those stapler remover thingies? Great. And they'll just take out my staple, restaple them. Super easy. So not overthinking that part is also really important. Or else it's like, oh no, now my system, whatever. We're always going to find something cute that we like more than something that we already have. So that to me is not a big deal. This also helps. So it helps students catch up. Let's say with quarantining, sorry, I feel like somebody's like knocking at my door, but I can't really tell. So we're just ignoring it. If students are quarantining, if they're, doing different field trips and activities, but really, the COVID stuff is what's on our mind now. This is really nice because they don't have to leave them here. I mean, this student does. They leave their folder here, but this is also, so all of Unit 1, all of Unit 2, and then all of their assessments, they have everything that just lives here in this little folder. But if not, they can take it home. So if they know, if they're thinking, that maybe somebody at home's not been feeling well, they need to take their folder home, they've got everything. I don't need to send copies or figure out some way they can electronically do them. The same way that if they do need to come pick some stuff up, I can just go, here you go. And then all I need to post or send them is what pages to do and any kind of other support they might need. Amazing. Same with an absence. I've been gone a couple of times since I started doing this, maybe just once. And my emergency plans were of course here, but then I was also able to say, it was I think it was last year, unexpectedly. So things were already posted digitally and I was able to just say keep going, in this place. Or if I were gone tomorrow, they could just, in theory, keep working on something in here that they see they can do because they don't go sequentially. I wasn't that together about it because I knew I would change my mind too. So it's not like after 3 we do 4, after 4 we do 5. They're not in any shape or form organized sequentially. It's just the files I opened first. So they can go in there. So now maybe all your emergency subplans say, I've got some set emergency subplans that are good for level 1, really cognate heavy and that kind of thing. But I've also got a little note that says they have a lot of materials already in their folder. So if they're not working on something, they always have some stuff in there they can do. And it can be, partner things like the interpersonal. They can do any of those. Really, it's all given there for them. It's really nice. The Quizlet sheet on the top also has the link to that Quizlet set, which I think is really handy. So when I think about students catching up or getting ahead, we're thinking always about enrichment for students. We don't use everything that I ever copy, but it's there just in case we need it. So all of a sudden we've got, an extra 15 minutes. It's like, oh, let's go ahead and do page 57. Boop. And I can just say it like that. And it's not like, oh crap, we're out of time or we have too much time. Out of time is a good thing, I think. But when you have too much time, you're like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? We're going to play a quick game or something. Oh, but let me run some copies real quick. I have eliminated all of that frenzy out of my routine or sort of daily teaching life. And I'm telling you, such a huge difference. It's not like I'm never thinking oh shoot, I have to go make copies. I'm done. I just make them once. Our units last 3 weeks. And so I've got 3 weeks worth of copies already done, already put together. Then when I find fun stuff, I'm not like, oh, where am I going to fit this in? I'm like, oh, cool. I know we can use this already. Done. Just copy it off, number it the last number, like I was saying, and go from there. So also being able to give students an idea of where we're going is really powerful. Students don't like busy work because nobody likes busy work. And when it's, when it's like, okay, let's now take, like we did today, now take, these two did happen to be in order. Now take those answers that you answered for yourself in the first person on page 29. Now flip it to 30, ask somebody else. So now we're going to flip the perspective a little bit. I haven't had a student, we're in week 5 of school, and and this is consistent since I've started doing this. So this is school year number 3, or 4 anyway, either way. It's been a long time since I've had students consistently go, is this for a grade? Is this for a grade? For like everything, because it's so clear what all is for practice and that there's a destination in mind. I think a big part of that relationship piece is trust between students and teachers. And I think when you're organized and you have it together and you clearly have a plan and a destination in mind, that's one thing. But showing them that you have all that is another thing. This is one way that I show them all of that, and that I kind of build that trust organically, because if I'm able to say, click to, go to page 47, they can see this stuff isn't textbook resources. They can see that it's got all different kinds of content creators on it. I'm pulling from all of our favorite people to buy stuff from and get freebies from and whatever. So I have clearly put some intention and put some of these things together, or all of these things together on purpose. And like I said, they also see that there's stuff that we don't get to or that we don't use. So there's always something extra. Again, you want a study guide? Here's your study guide. You want, to get ready for the test? Here you go. Take home your folder. And everything is there. It's not dependent on the student, especially because it stays in class, to kind of keep things together or be able to find things. I, as a teacher, can curate that experience a little bit more, and therefore really communicate that intention, like I was saying, and that trust and that ability to look ahead, catch up, do all the things. Like, all of that to me speaks to the environment, really, of the classroom. So I think that's pretty cool. Anyway, those are just a few ways that making unit copies for an entire unit and giving them to students ahead of time has really helped me. So I maybe will get together, kind of get my life together and put them chronologically, but honestly, I don't think it's made that big of a difference. So hopefully this has been helpful.